Today's episode is an important one. It's an episode that has been on my mind for a while, and I've kind of thought through how I want to present it, how I want to talk about it, what phrasings do I want to use, and how do I communicate this so it's not misinterpreted by you, the audience. And so the day has finally come. We're finally talking about it. But my intention with this episode is to help you maintain more of your power, move you out of fear, and help you step into the change that you want to see in the world, because that is what this is all about. So today we're talking about how to cancel culture, and how you can maneuver your brand with power, elegance, and ending of suffering, of problems that you see in the world without the fear of other people trying to cancel you. Because here's the deal, they can't cancel you unless you let them. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we have a very fun episode for you. This is an episode I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I figured, why not do it now? We are gearing up in our launch. We're talking about messaging. We're teaching messaging, and we're about to open up our program. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about something that I don't normally talk about. But we do address it inside of our program, because this is a huge part of messaging, content, and building a business online. And to be honest with you, this was a pretty big problem inside of the space, a year, maybe 2 years ago, and still continues to kind of come up from time to time. And I see this concept plaguing our industry and instilling fear into a lot of people and keeping people quiet. To be honest with you, the concept of what we're going to talk about today, I've seen plague course creators, content creators, service providers, anyone with an online presence, where they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around their own purpose, their own message, their own content. And that kills me on the inside, because we all have a purpose. We all have a mission. We all have a contract of what we are here to do. And to see people let fear control that, to quiet them, to get them to play small, breaks my heart. Because if you're listening to this podcast, I'm willing to bet you're someone who does have a purpose, a mission, and you want to go out there and you want to help people, and you want to do it in your way, and you want to have your beliefs. And there are things going on in the world where you don't agree with, and you want to present a better way. And this fear, this thing that's happening inside the space, is keeping you quiet. And that is what I call, or not what I call, what everyone calls cancel culture, where there are a lot of people who are very quiet because they're too afraid of getting quote unquote canceled. And I kind of wanted to talk about this topic, dive into what's really going on, how we should be looking at it, because I really do believe that powerful people create powerful messages. And I believe that when you have more of your personal power, combined with a focus of actually genuinely wanting to help people and wanting to help people your way, it's literally impossible for you to get canceled. And so I want to hopefully bring some realizations to you, talk about what's really going on, a little bit of a psychology of what's going on, how to address it, give you guys some real examples and things like that. But I want to start off by telling you, if you are someone who's a course creator, a content creator, an expert, and you have your own platform, which means you're not like on Fox or ABC or NBC, or have a contract with a network. Basically, you're not employed by a platform. I would consider like CNN a platform, Spotify a platform, things like that. It's almost nearly impossible for you to actually get canceled. And so the only time, and look back, and I'm just going off of my own knowledge and experience and research that I've done, I can't find a single person who has ever been canceled unless you are employed by someone with a platform. And what I mean by this is if you have a TV show or a contract or someone like with NBC or ABC or Fox or CNN or whatever, you have a show on their network, and then you do something publicly that they don't like and it kind of riles people up, they can go and cancel you, right? They can take your show away. They can take your platform and exposure away. But when you have your own platform, your own followings, your own email list, the only person that can cancel you is you. I have never in my life, in the 10 years of being inside of this space, seen an online course creator, content creator, or someone, a service provider, actually be canceled. I've seen people trying to cancel other people and it not working. And actually the person doing the canceling is actually who ended up getting canceled. And we'll talk about that. And so what I want you guys to realize is that the only way that I've seen that you can actually get canceled is if someone tries to cancel you and you have your own platform and you get into fear, you get into worry, and you allow that to start maneuvering your content, your messaging, how you show up, your personal power. Because if you're doing something that's working, you have maintained your personal power, you have a message, it's working, then all of a sudden someone decides they don't like it and they try to rile people up against you, and you start to change the personal power, you start to change the content, the message, and all of those things, you know what you're doing is you're changing the thing that brought you success. Now, if you don't let those people control you, take your personal power away, or influence your messaging and your content, then guess what keeps happening? You keep doing the same thing you were doing, which brought you success. Okay, so there's a lot of people right now. It's the first thing I wanted to talk about is that the fear of being canceled is what's really going on. That's really what's happening is that fear of getting canceled, the fear of even getting haters, that fear is the driver behind your behavior. It's the driver behind your messaging. It's the driver behind your content. It's the driver behind how you show up. It's the driver and creator of the energy that you put out there, which people will read subconsciously. And when the fear is the driver, it destroys content. It destroys your messaging. It destroys the energy of how you show up. So this goes back to what I was saying is the only way to really get canceled as a content creator who has their own platform or a course creator is to let the fear take over. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of flip the script a little bit. And I'm going to say what you honestly should fear is not being canceled. What you should fear is being the one doing the canceling. And I've been around for 10 years inside of this space, and I've seen this numerous times. And I'm going to paint a little bit of a scenario here. And I have specific examples. I'm not going to go into any specific examples or drop any names or anything like that. But I'm going to kind of give an overview of things that I have witnessed over the last 10 years to hopefully show you that you have nothing to worry about and that you have and should be incredibly excited to step into your power, broadcast your message with absolutely no fear and only a focus on helping people that you know you can help, because that's what this is all about. And what you should fear is the one doing the canceling, because I've seen this numerous times. In fact, I've seen it over and over and over again, where we have people inside of this space who start to gain momentum. And usually what happens is they gain it fairly quickly. They have sales, significance, influence, following, and they happen to get it usually fairly quicker than most people do. And what starts to happen is they forget what brought them success from the beginning. So in our space, you're usually going to be an expert of something, right? You're an expert of YouTube or helping moms lose weight or a platform like Instagram, or you're an expert at how to have better show up rates, or you help people get rid of their limiting beliefs, or whatever it may be. Like, you have an expertise in something, you gain momentum from it. But what starts to happen is when you get the significance, you think that people are following you for a lot of other things. And the truth is they're not. So for example, most of you guys probably follow me for things like messaging, mindset, maintaining personal power, maybe a little bit of spirituality, but powerful content, things like that. Now, the worst thing that I could do inside of my brand is start attacking political figures. I disagree with that. I disagree with this. Also, going after politics in general. Why? Because that's not why you guys are here. You aren't here because of my political views, my views on what's going on in society. You're not here for those things. So if I start talking about who I'm voting for, why I'm voting for them, who I personally like and don't like, laws that I like and don't like, it starts to take away from why people are here. Now, here's what's going to happen. If you're following me for messaging, that's the lane, right? The lane is messaging. And I start talking about my beliefs, and I'm just going to talk about something that's really controversial right now, which could be like COVID and masks and vaccines. And if I start talking about that stuff inside my brand and I take one side over the other side, you know what happens is that when I start talking about messaging, I'm going to have 100 people. Well, I start talking about COVID and masks and vaccines. Well, guess what? There might be 50% of that 100 people who don't agree with me, and they stop paying attention to me because they don't like me anymore, because we have a conflict of beliefs. And the thing is even if people know you can solve their problem and they don't like you, they will not buy. Okay? So whatever, let's just pretend that I did that. Well, now I have 50 people that maybe really like me because we share those beliefs, and they also know I can help them with their messaging. So then let's say I have 50 people left in my audience, and then I start talking about my beliefs around the president, right? So I start talking about my beliefs around the president. Well, now I only have 50 people in my audience, and I start talking about my beliefs around the president. And let's say 50% of the 50 people I have left like it and the other don't. Well, guess what? Now I only have 25 people in my audience, which actually means it's not that I have 25 people left in my audience. What it actually means is that I pushed away 75 people that I can help. Because here's the thing. If you want to help people, I want to help you. I don't care what your beliefs are politically. I don't care what your beliefs are around religion. I don't care what your beliefs are around spirituality. I don't care what your beliefs are around parenting. If your mission is to help people, I want to help you. So why on earth would I ever integrate those things into my brand? It makes absolutely no sense to do it. But what happens is there's a lot of people that get significance really fast inside of the space, and they think it's their job to go and start to tell you how to be inside of your brand, what you should be doing politically, what you're doing is right or wrong. It's not their job to do it, but they've gained significance, so they think that it is. They think that people are going to listen. But what starts to happen is they fall into the trap of what I just laid out for you. Once you start talking about that stuff, and it's not related to why you got significance in the first place, you're going to start segregating your audience. People are going to leave. And again, when you talk about one thing and then you talk about another thing and another thing and another thing, you're just moving more and more people away. So let's go back to that example. People follow me for messaging. Let's say there's 100 people. I talk about my beliefs around COVID and the masks and all that stuff. Okay, great. Now 50% of them are gone. Then I talk about the president. Well, great. Now 25 more people are gone. And then let's say I talk about my beliefs around religion or spirituality, and now half of them are gone. Cool. I have like 10 people left, which means I pushed away 90 people that I can help. And so what starts to happen is when you try to cancel people, what you're essentially doing is exactly what I just laid out for you. What you're doing is you're letting your beliefs around things that aren't even related to how you're helping people influence the actions you take. And what's really going on is you're letting external things influence your content. So for example, if someone was doing something online and I didn't believe in that, let's say we had opposite views of the president or whatever it may be, and I start trying to rally up people to go after that person, I try to cancel that person because I think their belief or their focus on the president or whatever it might be. I'm just using the president as an example. It could be anything. And I try to rally up people and cancel them because I don't agree with their beliefs on it. Do you understand what's happening? I'm letting an external thing literally control my inner peace. I'm letting an external thing literally control my content. And that's a huge problem when you let the external world control your content and your message and the actions you take, and honestly, control your anxiety, control your inner peace. You're constantly going to be in a state of distortion. You're constantly going to be in a state of chaos, of anxiety, because you're letting something outside of yourself control what you talk about and what you do. So I want to flip the script and say, we shouldn't be worried about being canceled. We should be worried about being the one who's doing the canceling. And I have seen this numerous times where there are people inside the space that have gotten significance and revenue and audience relatively quicker than most people. And then they start to attack not necessarily social issues, because I want to talk about the difference between attacking people and industry norms and things like that. But they will attack specific people who don't have the same beliefs as them, even though it's unrelated from how they got their significance. And I have literally seen people destroy their businesses where they had everything they've ever wanted, and then they go out of business, or they lose their following, or they lose their significance, and no one even buys from them. And essentially they go out of business. They close down their business. They go out of business. There's been handfuls of people that have done that. And so again, the point of me telling you this is not, again, this isn't, I hope you guys understand, this isn't to try to shame them or, have you, whatever. This isn't to talk about them. It's to show you what my goal of this, and the purpose I'm even bringing this up, is to show you, as someone who's here to help people, is that we shouldn't be living in fear of getting canceled. We should be standing up for our message, standing up for what we believe in, and standing up for the change that we want to bring into the world, instead of living in fear, playing small, holding back because of the fear of getting canceled. Because you can't get canceled unless you want to, or you let it happen. If you start letting those people influence your behaviors, your actions, how you show up, it can hurt you and your brand. And the thing I want to talk about is that what you should realize is there's a couple ways to address things. Number one is that you have to understand that people will forget. People will move on. And if you feel like you are and look, we're all human. You might make a misstep in your brand. You might make a mistake, or you might say something that you wish you could take back. And that's a part of messaging. That's a part of learning. That's a part of seeing how things feel and, adjusting. And people will forget. And so when we look back at some of the people that have had controversy around their brands, they're still here. So a perfect example, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I should have written her name down. Gosh, I can see her. I can see her in my head. What the heck? Rachel Hollis had some controversy a while ago. But guess what, guys? She's still here. She still has a big following. She's still successful, even though she had some controversy around us. And guess what? People forget and they move on. But what the worst thing you can do is, if you do find yourself in a misstep, is to worry and worry and worry and try to get forgiveness and try to get forgiveness. In fact, leaning into things is incredibly powerful. And I was watching The 8 Mile last night. It's the Eminem movie from years ago. It was just added to Netflix, and I was watching it the other night. And at the very end of the movie, so if you haven't seen it, this is gonna be spoiler alert. So pause this if you haven't seen the movie. It's a good movie. Eminem goes into a rap battle, and he's going through all the rounds of the rap battle. And inside of a rap battle, you're basically rapping, but you're trying to insult the other person, right? So it's like, who can diss the other person more? And then the crowd will cheer the loudest for whoever they thought did a better job. So Eminem starts at the first round. He wins that round, goes to the next one, goes to the next one, goes to the next one. And then he goes to one of the top ranking people in the space who's kind of his arch nemesis, or the leader of the group that he constantly has conflict with in the movie. And this guy's really good. And so Eminem gets to go first. Well, actually, let me back up. Right before Eminem goes on stage, his friend said to him, "Are you worried about what he's going to say?" And Eminem's like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, he knows that you live in a trailer park with your mom. His crew just jumped you the other day. They beat you up. His friend slept with your girlfriend." And he starts going through all of these things. And all the friends in the group are like, "Why would you bring this up to him? Why would you bring this up to him? He's about to go on the bat. Why would you do that and get in his head?" But you can see the wheels turning in Eminem's head. And so he gets up onto the stage and he starts his rap and he says, "I know everything about you." And he starts going and saying, like, "I know you went to private school and I know you did this." And he's obviously rapping all of this stuff, trying to insult the guy. And he goes, and then he says, "And I also know what you're going to say when you get up here and rap." And he starts saying, "You're going to talk about how I live in a trailer park. Eminem leans into all the things that he could have potentially been worried about, embarrassed about. He leaned into the fact that he got jumped by the other crew, that he does live in a trailer park, all the things that he could have, quote unquote, been embarrassed by. He leans into it in his rap and says, "I know you're going to talk about this." And at the very end of the rap, he says, "Go ahead, tell these people something they don't already know about me." And he hands the mic to the other person. And what he did in that moment was he took all of the power away from the other rapper. The guy had nothing to diss him about because Eminem leaned into all his vulnerabilities. He leaned into all the things that he could have potentially rapped about to diss or embarrass him, and took all of his power away. And I was watching a TV show. It's obviously a drama. It's not a true story. But there was a guy who's, I forgot the TV show, but he goes into politics and they find a bunch of really embarrassing things about him that they were going to bring up and push into the media, into the news, and all of this stuff. So before that happens, what he does is he holds a press conference and he says, "Look, this is who I am. People want to use it against me, and I'm not afraid of them, and I'm not afraid of that. And here's who I am. And here's how I'm going to show up for you. And if this side thing that's not even related to how good of a job I do in this office is an issue for you, then I may not be the candidate for you." And what happened was his polls went through the roof. Why? Because he leaned into the issues. He admitted, "This is who I am. This is what I did. This is not going to affect my job. I have full power." And so the reason I'm telling you all of this is that if you do find yourself in a misstep, or you do something and you start to get a lot of haters, they can't take you down unless you are the one who willingly goes down, because people will forget. You can lean into it. You can say, "I did do that." You can move on. And what I find is that people tend to respect those things. So if you do mess up, people will forget about it. You can lean into things. And what I want you to realize is that powerful messaging comes from powerful people, and that people aren't going to agree with everything that you do along the way. We can look at Gary Vaynerchuk, who's really popular. There's a lot of people that don't like him or everything about him, but he's still really popular. There's Grant Cardone, and a lot of people won't like him or the culture that he creates or his message, but there's also a lot of people that do like that. And on the same front of that, Brene Brown has a lot of things that she says and does that a lot of people aren't agree with, but there's a lot of people that do. Same thing with Simon Sinek, and I can go down the list. There's a lot of people who have different beliefs and different values and different things that will always support your mission. But here's what I have found to always be true. Because I know one of the questions people are going to get asked is like, "Well, Brandon, you talk about thought reversals and going after industry norms and attacking industry norms." There's a difference for standing up for what you believe in versus standing against or on top of a human being. That is the difference. What I do believe we should be doing is identifying norms, society norms, old ways of doing things that are causing problems, not things that we just don't like not going after pet peeves, but going into our industry and going into our space and identifying, look, people think this is the right way to do something, but I'm starting to recognize this is actually causing problems in people's lives and they don't know it. I'm going to go after those and I'm going to change norms. That's one thing. That's powerful. That's impactful. But when we start to shift our message to go after individuals and humans because of their beliefs, because we don't like their beliefs, that's completely different than going after norms that we recognize are causing suffering inside of people's lives. And what happens with canceling is, from all the examples that I've seen, it's usually stemming from a conflict of beliefs. I don't believe the same thing they do. Because there's a conflict of beliefs, they are bad. So when we go after industry norms, it's witnessing a standard, a philosophy, a movement of a collective amount of people or niche. And it's not even about saying that it's bad or wrong, but it's about bringing awareness that, hey, this thing that you're doing over here could be resulting in a problem in your life. It's about raising awareness versus handpicking individuals and saying you're bad because we don't believe the same thing. If it were me, and this is how I run my businesses, I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care that if we have conflicting beliefs. I don't care if we have different opinions on religion or spirituality. I don't care if we have different political views. If your intention is to go out and help people, I want to help you do it. And I think that everyone out there should be taking the same focus and direction with their business. And I'm warning you, the second that you handpick individuals to go after them because you don't like their beliefs or ways of doing something, and you're name dropping and going after them, it's going to cause problems in your life. One, because you're letting external things control your message and it's taking away from the reason why people are actually following you. It's going to start to segregate your audience. But then the energy that you put out there is more of a victim energy versus a powerful energy. And so I'm just telling you to be careful if you have been doing that. But really the message behind this episode is that cancel culture can't cancel you if you have your own platform unless you let it. And the more you maintain your personal power and focus on helping people, that will always prevail. The second you let fear control your message, the fear of a hater, the fear of getting canceled, you let that control your message, your mission, and your purpose, not only will it kill your soul, it will kill your business. And one of the reasons why I love what I do and the reason why we have our launch going on right now and our trainings and our things opening up is so that, number one, I can help give you the actual steps and frameworks and processes and exercise and in workshops or whatever to uncover what your message is and figure out how to say it. But a huge part of what we do inside of our program, and I do with this podcast, is actually making you the person who's powerful enough to get that message out there to change the world. And we can't do that if we're living in fear. So I hope this episode has brought some peace to you. I hope that it has helped bring some clarity to you. I hope that it has helped you relax a little bit and removed some fear from your life and has helped you move into more power so that you can get your purpose out to the world. If this episode helped you in any way, I would love to hear it. Just send us a DM on Instagram and let me know how it's helped you, and go out there and make the change you want to make. No one can stop you. See you guys on the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.